Hi there, this is Two Legs Better, and welcome to my channel. So, all right, this is one of my favorite mugs, and this is my coffee. Okay, welcome to my channel, and today the topic is why are we so hard on ourselves? Or why are you so hard on yourself? You may say, yeah, I don't think I do. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't, and we'll see. Okay, and also this is a topic about a negotiation, right? So how is that related to negotiation? I have no idea. I have some idea, but I have no idea about this whole episode. I feel like the topic is good topic, and I have lots of thoughts on that. So let's see if I can unravel that. But it may sound a little bit stretched at the beginning, but eventually I will bring it back to the level of negotiation to let you know why is it related to negotiation. Okay. Okay. So have you had? Let me tell you a story about myself. Okay. For me, I don't want to be modest, so I've been always considered like a smart kid when I grew up, and I also considered to have leadership. This is one thing that kind of interests me because being a leader means that others follow you. And I never really had that confidence that people would just follow me. So when I was in college and in graduate school and in some other situations, and I was basically not really elected, but put in the leadership position. When I was in college, I was literally the previous captain of my department team, well, whatever, the football team, just asked me to be the captain. It was quite an ordeal. I was the captain for 2 years, and we won one championship actually. So it was a lot of luck and many hard work and some things. And then in America, when I was in America, I was in charge of the football association, the Chinese football association there as well. And I'm the point I want to make is I have some leadership qualities. Maybe because I'm outspoken, I have a clear mind. I have a thought. I like to think from the leader's perspective. I think those are the things. But I'm not sure I have what it takes. I also have my own company, so I was in charge, and I have experience of that. So I have leadership, but I would say the results are mixed. It's not as good as I hoped. Now the thing is this: a lot of people, you want to be successful, or say you want to be a leader, you want both, right? You want to have the quality, you have the thinking, you also have the execution. I think what I'm lacking is a little bit on the execution side. I always thought, in order to be successful, you need all of that. But how is that related to why you're hard on yourself? I mean, life is about expectations. Okay, apparently these people trusted me to endow me, or make me the leader of a group of people, and the people followed me, and not many complaints about me when I was in charge. So that was a good thing. However, to me, it was never enough. I feel like if you're a leader, you got to do more. You got to be the best on the team. You got to lead to all the victories. You got to beat everybody. You got to make sure everybody is happy. And that's an impossible task. But that's kind of the way I approach life, and for better or for worse, for worse. So what I do is I have a very keen aspiration for learning. I wanted to learn. I study in China, I study in US, and I continue to study. I want to pursue a PhD in when I love psychology, I love negotiation, so I try to get to the bottom of it. I can give you an example. When I studied for negotiation, I was thinking, okay, negotiation is about behavior. in economic situations in general. So I wanted to study economics, I wanted to study psychology, social psychology, management, all kinds of things. But the problem is you can't. If you focus on too many things, you can't be good at one thing. I still remember one of the professors I had back in the day, and she was brilliant. I love her. She's a great person and great professor, and her field is very focused, and her paper is flawless, literally flawless. She can send the paper to a journal, and it was accepted as it is because it's so perfect. There's nothing left to change, to edit. That's how great she has been, and that literally wasn't me. I can never do that. So, but when you spread thin, when you focus on that, and you criticize yourself a lot more, and I still have the feelings from time to time is that all the things I wrote, when you do PhD studies, when you do research, when you publish, all these things, they are not good enough. So that's become a question on myself. Why am I not good enough? Because if you compare to a lot of other people, you are good or even better than a lot of those people. But why are you not good enough in your own eyes, right? So, and that carries over to a lot of things. It's like I play badminton. It's for a long while. It's like you're never good enough, So I want to put a side note here. The good thing about this is I realize that the flaw of this, and I try to lay loose on my son. So I hope my son doesn't suffer this, for better or for worse. You never know what's going to turn out. So, so I just don't. I try not to be too hard on him. So, but that back to the question to us. I assume you are watching this. You probably, at least from time to time, you feel the same thing. Why are we so hard on ourselves? Why are we not good enough? I can blame my mother. I guess a lot of people can blame their parents for that because they have high hopes for you, high expectations. They don't give you enough hug, enough praise, especially when you grow up and all these things. But what I want to point out is, even if it is because of your parents, it's not really the key issue. The key issue is how our brain works. What do I mean by that? How the brain works. The key is our brain is like okay, what's a better way to put it? I'm thinking of a few metaphors like a movie. Think about you go to a movie, right? Your attention is drawn by what's on the screen. The screen shows you a bird eye view. It's a bird eye view. It's a focus. It's a focus, right? It's a close up. It's a close up. So that's actually how our brain works. Our brain can only focus on one thing at a time. So, but in life, there's always at least the two things. So that's the kind of the there are always two things, and the thing that make us miserable is aspirations. If you watch my other episodes, you probably know about how we use that in negotiation. So specifically, aspirations is something that's perfect. So if everything is perfect, then what it would be. Aspiration is a great motivational tool. If you set your goal as your aspiration, it will bring you great things. In negotiation, in life, whatever it is, it's aspiration. Okay? Now, where is that from? I can give you a few perspectives. The first one I want to give you is, our brain, let's put it into context, okay? Say you are a lion or you are a tiger, right? You are something. In the animal world, how are you going to be successful? Why are lions still there and tigers, they they are suffering. The tigers, they are, I wouldn't say, I mean, in China, in the majority part of China, tigers are wiped out. When I was little, I still remember tigers were still in the folklore. But why? Why were they eliminated? Because they were a threat to humans. Because they literally they could grab kids or something, even if they don't, there are stories around that. So they were a danger. So the humans feel threatened. So that becomes make them a real danger, and that actually caused part of the problem for them. But for lions, they were limited in certain part of Africa, and in that part they kind of coexist with humans, and in a way, because they pose less of threat. So you could even say tigers, they are too good for themselves, for their own good, and but that's the world, though, the evolution perspective. That's the world. From evolution perspective, the best ones have a better chance to propagate, right? Say you're a human. If you're a man, if you are the best hunter, you are bigger, stronger, smarter, you are conscientious, good in hunting, you have a better chance to be successful, better chance to bring food to your family, to the tribe, better chance to be a leader, and then you have better chance to have a wives and children and things like that. And same for women, so it's purely evolutionary perspective. So that's why we are wired to fully kind of explore our potential. If we see somebody who looks like they have potential to be a great leader, a great hunter, a great successful person at something, we naturally feel the desire to enhance that, to embrace that, to help with that, or push for that. It's and frankly, that's a lot of potential. Think about if you are a smart kid when you grow up. Everybody look at you and say, yeah, you're going to do great things. You're going to be successful. You're going to make a lot of money. You're going to be, that's actually a lot of pressure, right? And but it's natural because we see that. It's like a beautiful painting, wow. It's you can't just not appreciate that. And on the other hand, if you are mediocre, then people just like, yeah, you're gonna be you're gonna, that actually kind of lay off the pressure a little bit, although not really, because you still have expectations, because we all have self-worth, self-esteem, and we don't want to be we most people do not want to admit where they are. They want to be seen as better. They see themselves as better. So that's why we kind of very sensitive and defensive to negative feedbacks from the society. However, from the evolutionary perspective, we have a hardwired, like genetically wired in our brain to be the best. And that puts the pressure there, because nobody can be their best, at least not all the time. You can win sometimes. You think about all the great athletes. Yeah, sure, you have Michael Jordan, you have LeBron James, you have Tom Brady, you have Tiger Woods and other people. Sure, they at one point they are great, Lin Dan, and they may be the greatest of all time. But at some point they are going to disappoint. They are going to lose. They're going to get out of the screen, so to speak. So these expectations, if you don't know how to manage that, it can be a huge pressure. That is why we are so hard on ourselves to a lot of extent, because they give you a target that can never be achieved. So you're going to be disappointed no matter what, no matter how hard you try. So, but the good point is, that's one big reason we have that. But the good thing about that is we can manage that, because brain, treat it as a machine, treat it like a child, if you will. And we have a way to deal with that. But that's the number one reason. The number one reason is evolution. Number one reason is evolution. So now the number two reason is society. Okay, capitalism. Okay. All right, you may say, yeah, not every place is of capitalism. Sure, I know that. I grew up in China, right? We call it socialism, communism, whatever you call it. uh, yeah, not everybody agree with that, but it doesn't really matter what we call that. Now, let me start with the capitalism, okay? The capitalism is very open about human greed. Capitalism basically saying if you have capital or if you have talent, you can use them to make yourself more successful, which means you get more gain from those, material gain, basically. So that's to some extent, to some people, it's almost like evil. It's like you sacrifice all the good in people. Only those. That's elitism, right? It's capitalism. It's meritocracy or whatever that is. It's like only the rich people, only the people who are capable have a grand future. So I don't want to argue on the moral ground of these things or the operations of the society. I just want to point out that's to a large part is how the society works. If you ignore that, you are either blind or you are lying to yourself. Okay, so that is how the society works. And in that kind of society, that system tries to promote the best. The especially ideas, innovations, like in America, the innovations drive a lot of things in the past several hundred years. The new innovations, the creations. Without that system, we probably wouldn't have all the convenience we have, all the Wi-Fi's and telephones and computers and AIs and all these things, all these shit. All the shit we take for granted today may not be there without this. Okay, so in this system, that really rewards that, and actually in America, the legal system reward that too, and there was the legal system rewards great opening offers. So basically, what it means is that if somebody give you an extreme offer, and somebody has something, somebody has a piece of land, and you come in to say, well, your land is evaluated, assessed at $1 million, so I'm paying you $1 million. And the person said, no, if you want my land, give me $10 million, otherwise get the hell out of here. Well, you can't say, well, that person is unreasonable, irrational, and not fair, he's a piece of shit, or whatever. All the bad things you feel about that person, you cannot really go out and say it, because in the American legal system recognized, basically asserts that you can't deem that as bad faith. You have to think that is a genuine offer, and that's how exactly they really want, how they really feel. You have to respect that. So that's kind of the essence of capitalism. Capitalism rewards, well, at least recognizes greed or aspiration. So I want to do better. I want to be the best. I want to maximize my potential. I want to be the best I can be. Okay, so the society says, yeah, wow, that's cool. Look at that guy. Look at that guy. He's a dork, but he wants to be the president. He's a jerk, but he thinks he can do good to the world. Hey, let's see what that person can do. So that's what capitalism is. So it's just a kind of at least tolerate that. Okay. So now you talk about, say, in China. I can't speak on behalf of other socialist societies like in North Korea, or are there any other places? I don't know. Cuba? I don't know. I've never been to Cuba or North Korea. I've been to South Korea though. But North Korea, I don't know. But in China, you do have the system. The system basically says, well, everybody's equal and everything is owned by the country. But what's the country? What really is the country? The country is the government. And who runs the government? The officials run the government, and they still have a system. They actually have a very strong meritocracy system. So in that system, is basically you are more capable, you have better chance to advance. It's at least that's the general guideline there. And then ever since 1979, the market opens up and the private sector starts to grow. And of course, there's a back and forth between the private sector and the state-owned. But over the years, no matter which one is there, no matter how you call it, it's still a system recognizes being best, being better. So if you are the best in your position, you are the best at what you do in that society, you're going to thrive. Okay, well, maybe not all the time, but you are going to. Now, so the thing is, now I have two reasons here, right? So the number one is evolution, and number two is society. Regardless how you see those two things, the point is this: those things reward excellence, perfection. That means that drives you can't be the second place. The second place doesn't exist. You're either the best or the loser, and that really is a lot of pressure, because you think about it, you can't be the best at what you do without full devotion. Because say you spend 30 hours, 40 hours a week in work, the guy next door spends 45. He's going to do better because talent-wise you may be similar. And the guy next door to him would spend 47, 50. And the next door, you go to people like Elon Musk, he's known to spend like 70 hours or something per week on that, or more each week in work. I don't know how accurate those are though. But people like to brag that, how hard they work. But it's also mathematically it's the truth. If the talent is similar and the resources are similar, the opportunity is similar, and then the person who works harder would be more successful. So, but that also puts a lot of pressure on people, and so that means you can never really get there. Now, what do I mean by hard on yourself, right? That means you won't be satisfied. Our feelings. Let me ask you this. Are you satisfied? Are you happy? Well, for life in general, or just today, at this moment, when you watch this video, you stop, you pause, you reflect on your life. Are you happy with where you are? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you content? Right? That actually is a very tricky question, because you may have an answer to that, but that answer could change. Because if I ask you, let's put it this way, consider what you could have achieved in your life, the best thing that you could have achieved. Think about what that's like. Now think about, are you happy? The chances are you won't be as happy. You'll be more discontent. But what if I ask you, think about where you came from. What's your background? Where did you start? What was your family like? What was your resources like? For me, I started from a small part of China. It's a pretty distant part from the center of everything. And I get to where I am. If I see it that way, I'm a big success. How many people in my place with my background can get to where I am today? But on the other hand, I also faced a lot of opportunity along the way. If I, maximize all the opportunities along the way, I would be somewhere else, maybe even better than where I am now, right? So these two things tell you something, is that life is like a negotiation. You have an aspiration that is the best that you can never achieve. You also have a bottom line that is the worst you might sink to. Okay, so hopefully what your life is really somewhere in between. Maybe not as good as the aspiration, but not as bad as the bottom line. And that's what negotiation really is. So in life, that's why if you focus on the aspiration too much or all the time, or you are reminded of that all the time. If your mom is always like, why are you staying home? You should go out and get a job. You should, then you'll be constantly unhappy because you are always reminded you are a failure in your mother's eye. You failed her expectations, right? But if you have somebody who is accepting, say, I'm happy where we are. It could have been worse, and we are happy where we are. We are doing the best we can, and we accomplish certain things. That makes you feel better. I hope your wife is that way, seriously, and all your husband, prefer your family as well. If they are that way, you'll be much happier than you are. You'll be less successful, but you'll be happier. So now, like I said, sometimes people may think, oh yeah, so if I want to be successful in life, I need to be hard on myself. I need to drive myself. And that is the trust me, I know that. That is the philosophy of most Chinese parents. Most Chinese parents, they drive their kids. They goad their kids with that. It's like, yeah, you got to study harder, And some people say, yeah, some kids may say, well, you didn't accomplish much in your life. Why do you expect that from me? And they would say, yeah, because I didn't have what you have. You have what I gave you. I wasn't given anything from your grandparents. And, so there are lots of ways to say that. Regardless, it doesn't matter how they frame it, whether it's for your own good or whatever that is. One thing is certain is that the brain doesn't distinguish. The brain just focus on that. If you brain the focus on the aspirations in life, the brain will focus on that, and you're going to be miserable because you are a big failure. And that's just what it is. So if you want to be less hard on yourself, you need to understand how to, I don't want to use the word manipulate, but there's no better word. You want to manipulate your own brain. Think about your brain is like a machine, like a car you're driving. If you want, if you turn it left, it's going left. Turn right, it's going right, right? So for the brain, now let me tell you a trick here, is that when you try to do something, when you try to do something, you need to motivate yourself to do it, right? And this is the time you should focus on, you guess what? Aspiration. You use aspiration to motivate. So you want to work on something, you want to make it as good as you can, as best as you could, right? I mean, you want to make a movie, you want to make the best movie ever. Well, not the best movie ever, but the best movie that you can make. And you want to play sports, you want to be the best player you can be. You need to try your best and to see whether you can accomplish what your ability allows you to accomplish. There are a lot of things goes with it, but that's aspiration. When you aspire to do something, you think about it. Say you are a salesperson for a company. You're selling cars, or you're selling houses or other things. Your aspiration is high. Should set it high. Set it as something you can never accomplish. Now, here's the trick, though. There are lots of research, lots of evidence shows that the best salesperson, the best performers in a company are the ones who set their goals really high. And either by their managers or by themselves or even by coworkers, the expectations are there. It's like, oh, that guy is a star and he's supposed to perform at this level. But the problem is, those expectations are usually set on according to their best performance. and nobody can maintain at the highest performance all the time. So people are going to fluctuate, and when they go down, they feel down. It's the worst is they feel down themselves. So that's the aspiration part. But aspiration is also very, very fundamental for motivation. If you don't aspire, you won't be motivated to work hard, to be persistent, to overcome things, difficulties, obstacles, and things like that. So now that is the material success part. You want success, you need to motivate, you need aspiration. However, if that's the only thing you have, you are like only one hand. You have only one hand, and you're going to be handicapped. You're going to be unhappy. It cannot be sustained because, say, you are the top performer in your company, then your goal is higher, and you're going to be a disappointment more time than the mediocre player, and you're going to be under more stress. You're not going to last long. So here is my trick to you. You use bottom line to save yourself, basically, to save yourself. What does it mean? It means that don't forget where you come from, okay? You may have a setback, but don't forget where you come from, You think about all those people. You think about Tom Brady. Tom Brady was at the bottom of the draft. He was drafted 199 overall, right? Like there were 7 quarterbacks in front of him. He wasn't considered too good, very good. He, in the NFL, and he accomplished all those. So whenever he if he failed to perform to a certain level, he can always revert back to that. He can always say, yeah, nobody expected anything from me. I was like nothing. I was like probably a footprint somewhere, and just a player just played a few years in NFL. But now I've been there. So you think about his professional career, there were highs and lows. But, he when he was not at his highest, those things tend to save him because he always has that, has that. Of course, he said it drives him, because, I want to prove these people wrong. Yeah, that is something, but also, they also give you less pressure. You want to be the best to motivate, but you also want to remember where you come from to save yourself, to remain sane. Okay, to remain sane. A lot of people like that. It's almost comical. I watch American football. I watch the Buckeyes football. The Buckeyes players. You think about all these people. When they perform well for the Buckeyes, if you are the starting quarterback for Ohio State, people, you're a star. Everybody, a lot of people knows your name. You are like worshipped everywhere, and the reporters tend to pick up on that. It's like, wow, have you always thought you're going to be this big a star or something? Questions like that. It's idiotic. And a lot of them, I like Ohio State players a lot, is many of them would go back and say, yeah, like Emeka Igboka, the star wide receiver, the current record holder at Ohio State. And he said, I immigrated from Cuba, I think. Was it Cuba? And then I started to play, and in high school, people thought I was good, but in college, he was basically number 3 as wide receiver in Ohio State's wide receiver room for many years, even in the last year when he was supposed to be the number 1. And there was a guy came in called Jeremiah Smith, and then he's number 2 again. It's like, so he was never the number 1 in the wide receiver room at Ohio State, and yet he was the record holder, the record yards and touchdown holder, but not for long though, Jeremiah is going to break that. But anyway, but that keeps him grounded and makes him work hard, but also remain sane. I think that's a very good thing. So I think, if anything, if you listen this far, right? First, I want you to, I hope you can subscribe and come back. It will be great helpful for me because the more people like this, I have more reasons to produce more, and you know. So, but my final point is this: you need to walk on two legs. Walk life on two legs. On two legs, okay? One is aspiration, and bottom line. Bottom line. B-O-T. Well, yeah, not enough room for all those words, but anyway. So that's my message for you. Is like let me repeat, okay? Our brain treat it as another person, as your friend. You tell your friend to manage that. You motivate your friend by tell them the aspiration, and you keep them satisfied, keep them content, keep them from being crazy by focusing on the bottom line, where they came from. Okay, so that's the message for today's episode, and this is 2 Legs Better. Please subscribe and please come back, and you have